Homemaker Catherine Davis is suing her neighbor, airline pilot Philip Choris, for the cost of a chicken and for pain and suffering. Catherine says Philip's dogs got into her yard and attacked her pet hen.
Miss Davis, I assume that you and the defendant are neighbors. Is that right?
Yes.
And you live in a rural community?
Yes.
Where is that?
In Gorham, Maine.
How large a property do you have?
About 7 acres.
And you keep chickens?
4 of them.
Any other animals?
A rabbit and a cat.
Mr. Soros, how large a property do you have, sir?
A little over 1 acre, Your Honor.
And you have dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a chocolate lab and a black lab.
Is your property fenced?
No, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, Miss Davis, Mr. Soros's 2 dogs somehow found their way onto your property and attacked one of your hens, leaving it practically dead.
Practically.
Very injured. And as a result of that, your father shot the hen to put it out of its misery, and you want Mr. Soros to compensate you, not only for the hen, but also for the trauma, because your daughter witnessed this attack on the hen. And Mr. Soros has 2 defenses. One, that his dogs didn't kill your hen, your father did. And the second is, there was an accident because his dogs just got out when he opened the garage door. You have any other defenses that you want me to hear, Mr. Soros?
Yes, Your Honor. I question the nature of the attack, being that within 45 seconds to a minute following Miss Davis's screams, I was in her yard, and I witnessed the chicken entirely intact, unbloodied, making what I would consider normal chicken noises.
Okay.
Didn't take just 1 shot,
Here we
but
go.
2 shots to kill it, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Miss Davis, when did this happen?
Wednesday, October 20th, 2004.
Ever had any difficulty with each other before?
No, but his dogs have been in my yard before.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, I didn't know where they belonged.
So when you saw his dogs in the yard, what did you do?
Usually I just shoot them away. But this time they didn't want to leave.
Okay, tell me what you observed.
We were standing in a window, looking out the window at some deer, and all of a sudden 2 dogs come running in the yard, so I ran outside to scare them away. The dogs grabbed a hold of the chicken and was shaking it and chewing on it, and I screamed and yelled to get them to leave. Next thing I know, Mr. Soros is standing in the bushes wanting to know what was going on, and I asked him if those were his dogs several times, and he wouldn't admit that they were.
Can I see a photograph, please?
There's also one of my live ones. They look a little different.
Your Honor, I'd like to please note that the photograph is on the back deck, and that when I saw the chicken, it was alive and well, sitting atop an egg at the back of the yard.
No, actually the egg was on the side of it.
The chicken was sitting on an egg.
Just a second, don't argue with him. He's going to have a chance. He doesn't know that yet, but he's going to have a chance. Well, I'd like to hear from your father.
Okay.
Your last name is?
Triner.
Mr. Triner, tell me what you observed on the 20th of October.
We were looking out the bedroom window watching the couple of deer that were in the backyard, and I noticed the dogs, and I told Kathy the dogs were out there. She got her shoes on and left to go outside, and I got my shoes on and grabbed the gun and went outside. And when we got out there, the dogs had pretty well tore the chicken up.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the chicken's neck was broke. The egg which the chicken had laid that day was out on the ground. And the chicken was suffering, so I shot it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to let you stay seated, okay? You think your grandpa and your mom told the story enough?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, now I'll hear you. How did your dogs get out?
Well, I let them out, Your Honor. I was in the backyard playing with my dogs and my son, and I went into the garage for a moment to get something off the workbench, and I heard screaming from the backyard, so I immediately ran towards the woods that separated my yard from Miss Davis's, at which time my 2 dogs came running from the woods, so I could assume that they had been in her yard. I grabbed them by the collar and put them in the fenced portion of my yard and scooped up my son and put him in the house. Then I immediately ran into Miss Davis's yard, and she was standing next to a chicken, and she was visibly upset and screaming. And I looked down at the chicken, and it was sitting with its wings folded, apparently in its nest, and making normal chicken sounds. And she was very upset. Her father came over with a high-powered air rifle and shot it in the back of the neck at point-blank range. The chicken was still alive after the first shot, so I question how injured it may have been. Secondly, he cocked the rifle again, shot it a second time.
Why do you think he did that? Do you think that he's some sort of sadist, sir?
I don't think he's trained in veterinary medicine, and the decision to put an animal down is not one that anybody can make.
How much do your dogs weigh, sir?
Each about 75 pounds.
And how much did the hen weigh, do you think?
2 or 3 pounds.
And you think that if they just picked it up in their mouth and say that they weren't looking to hurt the hen, they were just looking to play with it?
Well, if
sending it back and forth.
If they did that, Your Honor, they're very courteous dogs because they set it right back down on the egg.
You are responsible. And what you have to say is, I assume that responsibility. Because this gentleman did not shoot this hen out of sport. He may have been mistaken when he believed that the hen was so seriously injured that it could not have recovered. And maybe he was wrong when he said that the hen's neck was broken. That's still your fault.
Your Honor.
That's still, listen to me, that's still your fault. But for your irresponsibility, it wouldn't have happened. So you better be careful with your dogs. Because if instead of the hen, the dogs went over and decided to play with her daughter and inadvertently bit her because she was flailing her arms because she was frightened, that wouldn't be her fault. That would be your dog's fault. That would be your fault.
My dogs have no history of such behavior, Your Honor. If they had,
you're a dumb man. You are really a dumb man. You're not getting my message. You are so fixed in your position that you're not getting my message. What do you do for a living?
I'm a pilot.
Well, maybe that's why you're fixed, because you have to follow instructions, and if you don't follow instructions and veer off course to the letter, you can cause a great deal of damage. You're also supposed to use common sense as a pilot. You're suing for $4,500. That's outrageous. But Mr. Soros has to get the message. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Truck driver Charles Osborne is suing his former friend, writer Michael Lacey, for injuries due to a car accident. Charles says he was a backseat passenger when Michael choked on coffee and drove his car off the road.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes, ma'am.
You were a passenger in a car that was being driven by Mr. Lacey, according to your complaint. I don't know where you gentlemen were on your way to, but you're going to tell me you were sitting in the back seat. According to what I read, there was an accident, you were injured, and you want to be compensated for your medical bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Mr. Lacey says this was an accident and you weren't wearing your seatbelt and whatever. Take care of your own medical expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing in Mr. Lacey's car?
Mr. Lacey had been commandeered by my business partner, Frank Owen, to drive us to Rushville, to small claims court.
Who had to be in small claims court?
Mr. Owen did.
And what happened, sir?
We were eastbound on Route 52, and Mr. Lacey had just passed a car doing about 58, 60 miles an hour. And he had taken a drink of coffee at the time, and when he did, he choked on the coffee. He held the accelerator to the floor. We went off to the side of the road. Frank was in the front seat. He tried to grab the wheel to hold it on the road. And I had pulled my seatbelt off quick and tried to jump over the seat to grab the wheel. But at that time is when we went off the road, and the car ended up going over some ravines and went catty-corner into a telephone pole, which hit like the rear door. And I slammed the door, knocked the power window buttons out of the door, broke the window out with my head. And the next time I did, we finally stopped dead, and the airbag went off, and Mr. Lacey turned around to me and he said, "I believe we were in an automobile accident."
I believe you were right. Can I see those pictures? I'm anxious to see.
Sure.
So I assume that
It's the same paper. So.
It's the same paper.
Okay.
Can't believe I'm going to get paid for reading the paper. So this says that both passengers, both you and Mr. Owen, were taken to the hospital. Is that right?
Yes.
What were the extent of your injuries?
I had a collapsed lung, and I still have the problem. I can move my head over this far on the left, and I could come all the way over on the right, but I still can't move it completely right.
Well, what would you have to move it all the way over for? What particular
I
exercise?
probably wouldn't unless I was looking at...
I'm just curious.
I don't know, Your Honor.
Wait. Doctor, it hurts when I do this.
No,
Don't
I know.
do that.
No, I'm just curious. What is it in your life, in your work or social life or whatever, that would require you to go all the way over on you?
Well, I'm a truck driver, and I have to leave my head out the window a lot of times to see the cars.
Well, you go out like this. You don't go down like this, right?
Well, I go like this to leave.
Yeah, you go right just like
Yeah.
that. That's enough.
Okay. All right.
Seems to me that's enough.
Okay.
So you don't have any long-term disability. You had some short-term problems. Let me
Yes.
see that medical bills, please,
Okay.
and what the doctor had to say about you.
Have an ambulance bill and the hospital bill and the doctor bill.
Okay.
But the one's gone into collection, so but they're all together same dates.
Okay, Mr. Lacey, why shouldn't you be responsible for this? Didn't you have insurance?
I did not have insurance. It had lapsed.
Oh, Mr. Lacey, that's a big problem for you, sir.
Yes, I realize that, Your Honor.
Well, then why don't you think that you personally should be responsible for this? You were at fault in this accident.
I was at fault in the accident, but the plaintiff here says that he was injured and he was out of the car walking around when I regained consciousness from the airbag and did not exhibit any signs of trauma until the ambulance arrived. And then when the ambulance did arrive, he immediately went into a convulsed state and, made it sound like there was something wrong. And the rest of us were all walking around. He had been walking around.
Well, Mr. Owen was taken to the hospital, sir.
Mr. Owen was not taken to the hospital.
According to this, he was.
He was not.
Well, he was. And you're responsible. And if he wanted to go and get himself checked out, that's his prerogative. Mr. Osborne, you're suing for $5,000, sir. Why?
The hospital bills were $2,100.
Correct.
I was off work for 3 weeks, and I'm a percentage driver. I'm paid average about $820 a week.
Well, you have to show me something that indicates to me.
ਅੱਜ 18